بتظاهرات حاشدة خرجت إبان ثورة 30 من يونيو. ستبقى هذه الثورة علامة فارقة في
It is a turning point in the past of the Egyptians as well as the Egyptian life. In particular, participating more than things on the domestic life that there were situations before the 30th of June that was very harsh between Egypt and the Arab nations with respect in relationship with the European countries as well as African countries. All such matters that reached Egypt as such that indicated that there was a sort of weakness in management, but Egyptians were aware of such attempt to change the identity of the Egyptian society. Hence, the 30th of June came up and emerged, as well as the response of the Egyptian people, followed by the statement that gathered all the political segmentations to unite upon the future of Egypt. Therefore, it was notably to celebrate it, but not only with the 30th of June, but the day that the Egyptian people and armed forces responded to the call of the Egyptian people. There was the name of the base because of it was a very important day, the 3rd of July, that the army were from the people. Therefore, the support came up to create a very important day, the 3rd of July. That's why the base was named of such a name that indicated the solid relationship between the Egyptian and the armed forces. In order to recorrect the past, if we talk in more details on the international relationship of the influenced countries followed by the 30th of June, as well as the falling of the President Abdel Fattah Sisi took the office between the European countries. Egypt was enabled to correct the image, in particular for those countries that never had the idea of the image and returned such relationship to its position through the ability of the Egyptian ability to emerge and corrected such an image in such a phase, in addition to the diversity of the arming with the different countries, different developed countries, as well as the African continent and its concern of the brotherly relationship between Egypt and them, as well as the African leaders. They appreciate Egypt during the era of Gamal Abdel Nasser and his support with the African brothers of the liberation movement. The response of the army and the armed forces to the call of the Egyptian people that had positive impact in such directions. Let's talk about in Egypt history in depth of the impact. There was several papers that narrate the history of the Egyptians in different stages. They passed through these years. Won't add anything that such a paper was teared off that led the Egyptian people to be fully aware as they used to be. Let's talk on the importance of the 3rd July naval base as well as the provision of logistic and military support to confront all challenges on the Western Northern strategic directions, as well as the importance of the naval base that is located in the West in order to achieve a better deployment of the fleet to control the economic and strategic Western Northern directions, aiming to protect and maintain the economic target of the state. Now we are waiting for the arrival of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah Sisi, the highest commander of the armed forces, to honor the inauguration of the 3rd July naval base.
مشاهدينا الكرام مستمرون مع
We are
حضراتكم
continuing to full coverage of the proceedings of the visit of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah Sisi, the President of the Republic and the highest Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, to inaugurate the 3rd of July naval base that is located along 70 kilometers of Marsa Matruh city, that is considered the biggest military naval base over the Mediterranean near the Libyan borders. Such a base that is considered the biggest and the most important one in this region, the military Western Zone, that represents the strategic dimension of which Gargoub base to secure the economic zones of the Egyptian northern Mediterranean coast at the borders of the Libyan state. The establishment of the bases in general in the framework of the comprehensive plan of the armed forces, such bases would be the turning point of logistic support of the Egyptian army in the Mediterranean and the Red Seas to confront the challenges, among of which is to maintain the Egyptian economic importance and the Egypt's role in the navigations of the east of the Mediterranean as well as the Red Sea. Kind and dear viewers, the 3rd July base, it has an importance of a great importance with respect in the provision of logistic and financial support to confront all the challenges on the strategic directions.
يتحدث الماضي والحاضر عن قوة
speaks
وقدرات
about itself in
القوات
the present
المسلحة
and in the past
المصرية
upon the
وبحلول
ability
ذلك
of
الحاضر
the naval
تروي
Egyptian
مسيرة
forces.
الأحداث صفحات
Talking
من
about the
إنجازات
present,
وبطولات القوات المسلحة
witnesses
المصرية.
the very
هكذا فرضت
accomplished
التحديات
pages of
الإقليمية
the Egyptian
والمتغيرات
naval
الدولية
forces
أن تحظى مصر
due
بنقلة
to
نوعية
the
في
challenges
مخطوطاتها
of the
الأسلحية
history that impose
وقدراتها
the
القتالية على
advancement
كافة
of
المحاور
its
الاستراتيجية
military
للحفاظ على أمن
capabilities
مصر القومي وأمن الوطن
through
العربي.
the
وبلغ
strategic
تطوير الأداء
directions
في
in
أعقاب ثورة
an
30 من
attempt
يونيو
to
عام
maintain and preserve
2013
the
وتنوعت
security at the
القدرات القتالية
borders.
لقواتنا البحرية
The
وتشمل
combat
العديد من المحطات
forces
الفارقة
were
ومنها
diversified to
امتلاك مصر
include the
لحاملتي المدفعيات
ownership of
النرفز
the
واستراتيجي
helicopters
جمال عبد
carriers
الناصر
of
وأنور السادات. أيضا
Gamal
الفرقاطة
Abdel
متعددة
Nasser
المهام
and
لتحيا مصر
Anwar
برأس
al-Sadat,
الخيمة.
as well as the
الغواصات
frame
الألمانية
of
الصناعة
Anwar
عبرت رأس
al-Sadat
209
and
على
the
2400.
submarine of
الفرقاطات
209
متعددة المهام
and
من
the
طراز
multi
ويند فخر
operations
التصنيع
of
الحربي
wind,
المشترك
the
فيما بين
pride
مصر
of
وفرنسا
the
لدى
joint
السنة
military
الإسكندرية. هذا
industrializations between
بالإضافة
Egypt
إلى
and
لانشات
France,
ألمانية
in
الصنع
addition
من
of
طراز عمر بن الخطاب.
German
ويبقى عام
troops
2020
fleet.
و2021 حدا
The
فاصلا في المسار الصاعد
2020
لقواتنا
and
البحرية
2021 was a
واستقبال
turning
العديد من
point
القطع
of the
البحرية
armed forces of
ومنها
Egypt
الغواصة
to
اس
launch
43
and
والغواصة اس
industrialization of
44
S-44
والفرقاطات متعددة
and the
المهام من طراز فريم
multi-operation
الجلالة
FREM, as
وبرنيس.
well as Al-Galala
وأن
and
تتوانى القوات
Bernice.
البحرية عن بذل أقصى
The
جهودها
naval forces
لحماية مقدرات
exert
الأمة
all the efforts
من
to
المجال
maintain
البحري
the
المصري.
capabilities
وبلغت
of the
البطولات
nation
مداها
to secure
بإنشاء
the
المزيد من القواعد البحرية
naval and
ومنها
maritime
قاعدة برنيس
transportation, on top of which the Bernese naval
هكذا توالى
base.
بناء قواعد المجد العسكري المصرية وآن الأوان
The
لكي
successes of
ننتهي
establishment
لبناء
building in the
قاعدة
naval
جديدة هي
bases
قاعدة
were
الثالث من يوليو
was
البحرية
the presence
بمنطقة
of the
جرجوب.
3rd July
إحدى
of the
أهم
naval base
المعطيات
in Gargoub district,
إحدى أهم
one
نقاط
of the
الارتكاز
pillar
لإنجاز المهام
points
القتالية
to
للأسطول
accomplish
الشمالية
the
المصرية
operations of
لمواجهة
the armed
التحديات
forces to confront
البحرية وحماية
security
ثروات
challenges
مصر
and
الطبيعية
maintain
على
the
امتداد
natural
مياه الإقليمية
capabilities
البحر الأبيض
throughout
والمتوسط.
the
هو نطاق
Mediterranean.
هائل
It
يمتد
is
على مساحة
a
تفوق
great
10 ملايين متر مربع
scheme that
موقع جغرافي فريد
overcome
يحقق
the
المزيد من
30
القدرات
square
الجغرافية
meter
لتأمين
millions
السواحل
to
الشمالية.
secure the
ونقطة
northern
انطلاق هي
coastal
الأكثر
borders
قربا
and
من
the
الرياح مخاطرة
launching point
محتملة
to
من مياه
deter
البحر
all the
الأبيض المتوسط.
potential hazards and
إذن هي
challenges
قاعدة
of the
عسكرية
Mediterranean. It is
تتوافق
a military
إنشاؤها مع
base
كود القواعد
that
العسكرية
goes in
العالمية.
line with the
وهكذا تنوعت
universal
مكونات قاعدة
bases.
الثالث
The
من يونيو
components of the 3rd July naval base
74 منشأة وتضم العديد من
was
الوحدات القتالية
diversified that
للعمليات
include
وأخرت
Operation
التدريبات
Center and
المشتركة.
another center of
هذا
joint training,
بالإضافة إلى
in
محطة
addition
الطائرات
to the
وملحق به
tarmac of
قاعدة استقبال
aircraft
قاعدة
and
استقبال
affiliated
وسبعة
two halls of VIP's hospitality and a naval berth of 2,000 links and 2,200 widths and depths of 17 meters. That include a tower to monitor the port. That include 305 meters, as well as the compounds or the housing complex and medical buildings and conference halls and indoor sport halls. It is an integrated military scheme that represents a base to protect and maintain the ownership of the Egyptian people. It is the most optimized defense on the land and the sea as well as the air in the 3rd July military base. In talking to why Egypt is in need of capable base, as for the following reason, that Egypt enjoys a very unique geographical destination among with the world naval trade. It is a mixture of the universal interest. It is important of the seas that include economic wealth of the fishes and the very rare wealth on the depths of the sea. Such matters that is in need of hands to defend. Therefore came the building and establishment of the 3rd July naval base. The Suez Canal also is one of the most important governing naval bases that emerges importance of the crisis of the ship that was embarked due to the assistance of the Egyptian hands and a very unique performance of the men of the Suez Canal that represent all the very tactical planning in order to float such a ship. Egypt is owning 42 very ad hoc bases. The sea is a tool and a source of the national income, therefore that require a very capable defense for those who wish to harm the national security of Egypt, in addition to be in a very regional center for energy, in particular after the transform the Gas Forum for the Mediterranean to be a vital point, as well as the latest exploration in the Mediterranean, in order to make Egypt a major player in the market of the natural gas, as an attempt to be an regional center for energy. Egypt is also going for the clean energy and to get rid of the raw fossils in order to maintain the health of the citizen. It is expected to be Egypt to be the center of the green hydrogen center, energy to produce the hydrogen fuel, which is a chemical process that the natural hydrocarbon fossil is subject to, such as the natural gas. Now we are waiting for the arrival of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah Sisi to inaugurate the naval military base of the 3rd July.
وصل الآن السيد الرئيس
Excellency, President Abdel Fattah Sisi has arrived, the President of the Republic and the highest commander of the armed forces and Egypt's kind delegations and guests. President Abdel Fattah Sisi, the President of the Republic and the highest commander of the armed forces and the guests of Egypt. The national anthem. Peace be upon you all. Please be seated. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most passionate, the Almighty God, who hastened the sea, the ships will go through by His command. May you thank them. Your Excellency President Abdel Fattah Sisi, the President of the Republic and the highest commander of the armed forces, Your Excellencies, the distinguished guests of Egypt, days and years going through, suns are shining to land, but only one sun, its star, never knew the path of ending, or the sunset. It is the Arab sun of Egypt, the sun of civilization, the sun of glory, sun of light and fire that shine and send its rays for those who wish to harm. Any aggressor never knew its value and its acknowledgement. It is Egypt that always pursues to achieve the peace that stays, God willing, till the judgment day. A year and a half we were witnessing the inauguration of the Western Bernice base in the south of Egypt on the Red Sea, and today at one of the spots of the Mediterranean we witness the inauguration of the 3rd July naval base of its affiliated new units that stand high to conclude the oldest armies from the right to the left. 28 is armored vehicle, 4 swift boats and Gound frigate and 2 Frim frigate and submarine 209 and 10 of Sadiq, and in time with the inauguration of the base, the armored forces is doing a convene the drill of the 22 Qadr maneuver to assure of the Egyptian people upon the capabilities, efficiency and preparation of the army. You distinguished guest, now will give the floor to General Ahmed Khalid Hassan Saeed, the commander of the Navy. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most passionate, quotes of the Quran. Your Excellency President Abdel Fattah Sisi, the President of the Republic and the highest commander of the armed forces, esteemed distinguished guests, we celebrate today to add a new castle of our solid castle and new capabilities to be the added value of the developing capabilities, God willing, in the framework of a comprehensive modernization of the naval that came upon the political leadership of the Egyptian state that put the development as a goal and a methodology, and the disciplined methodology a path to put in a better future for the sons of the nation and to carry an stability cooperation message within defending our precious nation against the extremism powered by the enlightenment and thought to optimize the best benefit of the seas, to put the armed forces and the navy forces as the goal. Without them, we would be having no development. That came the 3rd of July naval base that took the name of the history and the heart of the Egyptian society to eradicate the birth of extremism. With given the priority of the Egyptian state of the sea that was opened by the Almighty God of the Good following the 30th of June revolution, to be considered in fact a development and peace message for our region. The commander of the armed forces to provide the full support to execute the aspects of development of the Navy forces, of infrastructure and arming, qualification of the human factors, of army and training and qualification and infrastructure and distinguished training of the human factors throughout all the levels. Your Excellency, Mr. President, and the esteemed distinguished guest, the follow-up was the motivation and support for us. The accuracy and timeline were the governing factor to execute a comprehensive plan of the naval forces that witnessed the building of 5 new naval bases that represent the capability to execute all the operation, such as the aircraft carriers and submarines of multi-operations, with means to transform the technology and expertise and the normalization of the military experience. That witnesses the rise of our flag on 27 new units that add in our directions, and a very strong one, not just for the quantity, which is important, the quality, that include 2 frigates of FRIM, which is Egyptian made, and a submarine of 209, and 4 coastal boats and 28 of compact armored ships that we witness in the framework of the tactic military maneuver of the armed forces Qadir 2021. And today the biggest naval base on of the space 10 million of square meters, that considered a very strategic valued add on the western direction of the Mediterranean, that reflected the commitment of the Egyptian state to secure the Suez Canal and to achieve the maritime security, as well as the international maritime transportation, and to eradicate the illegal immigration. That would give pave the way to operate and execute all the logistic and compact operations, in addition to the execution of the joint maneuver training, military training with our brotherly Arab states. That achieved isn't the end, but the launching point to the continuation of developing the naval command the forces as an aim to enhance the security of the naval maritime, and will vow to continue the path of progress and development that you started, and to maintain the effort and the potentials to pay the price, to maintain the interest of the Egyptian people abide with the beliefs of the Almighty God and the commitment of maintaining the military establishment. We ask the Almighty God to maintain our armed forces, and peace be upon you all. Will allow me, Your Excellency, Mr. President, to present a very symbolic decoration for you in such an occasion. Sometimes we get the results on the reverse directions, but the winds of the Egyptian army are moderate, never revolt or arise. Unless the matter of the Arab and the Egyptian security is considered, that would be transferred to thorn and typhoons, and the men of the Egyptian armed forces are fully aware of the nature of their missions to maintain the dignity of such a nation by saying to their people, if we're not able to do so, the depths of the land is our place vis-à-vis its surface. The commanders of the 3rd July of the naval base are approaching to receive the flags of the naval units from the President of the Republic, the highest commander of the armed forces, as a beginning of entering the service.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, Egypt's destiny was and still is subject with the capabilities of its nation. Egypt is fully aware that its national security is part and parcel of the Arab national security. Egypt pursues to own these strengths came from its desire to achieve the peace. We are not the advocates of conflicts or warfares, but in the same time, if compact is imposed upon us in defending our rights and capabilities, we are the master, and the history lessons affirms for everyone all over the place and the globe that Egypt is never forgive the or path the one of its rights. Egypt is always throughout the life to raise their hands high to the skies, as quoted by the Allied poet Hafiz Ibrahim. If the Almighty God ends our life, the East would never raise their hand. From the past, the Almighty God's protection is our God. It is the price of aggression, the trust of the just, the wish or pursue the water is clear, would never be the end of our life. President Abdel Fattah Sisi, the President of the Republic and the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, signed the document of the signing of the building document of the 3rd July naval base. And is honored to raise the flag of Egypt on the deck of the naval base. Now, His Excellency President Abdel Fattah Sisi, the President of the Republic, is signing the document. Announcing the building of the 3rd of July naval base. In line with raising the flag, the guns are launching 20 or firing 21 launching fires. Following the conclusion of the proceeding of raising the flag, His Excellency President Abdel Fattah Sisi is about to inspect the military units and witnessing the final tactics of the Qadir 2021 maneuver.
هيقف هنا الاول يا فندم ياخد التحيه وبعد كده هيقف قدام عميد بحري اركان الحرب مروان عادل رمضان قائد اللواء الاول مدمرات. عقيد بحري اركان حرب احمد عصام الدين
Naval Colonel Ahmed Assam al-Masri, the leader. The artist, I would like to welcome you, sir, and Egypt's distinguished guests on the board of the Al-Galala, which is a frigate of frigate type, made of Italy, multi-operational in the surface and air and under the surface. We are now, sir, on the deck of the flight of the 500 kilometers space, in addition to a number of 2 hangars to maintain and storage of hull, flight hangar of the left side contain of a load of 12 ton. The compact capability of Al-Galala in the surface and air is launching the coast to engage of the surface and coastal and air targets by using the smart ammunition that reach its range of 86 kilometers. The location of 2076 mil by using smart munition of a distance that reach 12 kilometers with the capability of redirecting the launch to increase the accuracy of the hit. The aerial system of 16 missile of a range that reach 120 kilometers that using all the aerial radar to discover the targets of a range that reach 300 kilometers and dealing with the target in time. Surface launcher to engage the surface and coastal targets of a range that reach 180 kilometers and that with the capability of redirecting the missile to increase the accuracy of the hit. The compact capability of the ship in underface, the system of fighting the submarine that consists of two torpedo tri-fight bays that reach 25 kilometers by using the fixed sonar system, is vested of a number of remote launchers of 2 under the surface to increase the capability of the ship of detecting the mines and to airborne to direct the tactics. It is also vested of 3 combat rep to support the special forces. Any orders, sir? Thank you. Take gathering pictures with the young people, which is considered history for them.
سلبيه وفيها فندق جهاز كلير كاميرا بتمكن الطياره ان هي تصور نهاري وليلي.
That airplane is actually is containing a thermal camera, and its range 230 miles. I think that the wings are designed as entering the aircraft and fixing of fixer. The unit carries 2 aircraft. The frame of the right side AW101, which is a transportation aircraft of 16 passengers, and the smallest one is the N90, which is combining the radars, which is the biggest deck of the frigate of the world. Let's take a picture.
تابعنا مع حضراتكم قيام السيد الرئيس عبد الفتاح السيسي رئيس الجمهورية القائد الأعلى للقوات المسلحة برفع العلم.
قاعدة 3 يوليو البحرية بمنطقة جرجوب، قاعدة عسكرية تتوافق منشآتها مع كود القواعد البحرية العالمية. نطاق عسكري متكامل يشكل قاعدة انطلاق لحماية مقدرات الأمة المصرية على طول الاتجاهين الاستراتيجيين الشمالي والغربي، والتي سينفذ بها المناورة قادر 2021. قاعدة 3 يوليو البحرية، سادة البحار.
فيلما من إنتاج إدارة الشؤون سادة البحار.
The Masters of the Sea is the documentary film
يتحدث الحاضر عن نفسه فتروي مسيرة الأحداث صفحات من بطولات وإنجازات القوات المسلحة المصرية. هكذا فرضت التحديات الإقليمية والمتغيرات الدولية أن تحظى مصر بنقلة نوعية في منظوماتها التسليحية وقدراتها القتالية على كافة المحاور الاستراتيجية للحفاظ على أمن مصر القومي والوطن العربي. وبلغ التطوير مداه في أعقاب ثورة 30 من يونيو 2013. هكذا تنوعت القدرات القتالية لقواتنا البحرية لتشمل العديد من المحطات الفارقة، ومنها امتلاك مصر لحاملتي المروحيات من طراز مسترال جمال عبد الناصر وأنور السادات، الفرقاطة متعددة المهام تحيا مصر من طراز فريم، الغواصات ألمانية الصنع من طراز 209 على 1400، الفرقاطات متعددة المهام من طراز جو ويند فخر التصنيع الحربي المشترك ما بين مصر وفرنسا بترسانة الإسكندرية، هذا بالإضافة إلى اللانشات الألمانية الصنع من طراز عمر بن الخطاب والرب المدرع من طراز رافال. ويبقى عاما 2020-2021 حدا فاصلا في المسار الصاعد لقواتنا البحرية، والتي شهدت تدشين واستقبال المزيد من القطع البحرية، ومنها الغواصة S-43 والغواصة S-44. الفرقاطات متعددة المهام من طراز فريم الجلالة وبرنيس. ولم تتوانى القوات البحرية عن بذل أقصى جهد لحماية مقدرات الأمة بتأمين المجال البحري المصري، وبلغت القدرات مداها بإنشاء المزيد من القواعد البحرية، ومنها قاعدة برنيس البحرية. هكذا توالى بناء قواعد مجدنا العسكرية، وآن الأوان لكي تكتمل بإضافة قاعدة جديدة، قاعدة 3 يوليو البحرية بمنطقة جرجوب. إحدى أهم نقاط الارتكاز لإنجاز المهام القتالية للأسطول الشمالي المصري لمجابهة التحديات الأمنية وحماية ثروات مصر الطبيعية على امتداد مياهنا الإقليمية بالبحر الأبيض المتوسط. نطاق هائل يمتد على مساحة تفوق 10 ملايين متر مربع، موقع جغرافي فريد يحقق المزيد من القدرات الإضافية لتأمين السواحل المصرية الشمالية، ونقطة انطلاق هي الأكثر قرباً لدرء أي مخاطر محتملة من اتجاه البحر الأبيض المتوسط. قاعدة عسكرية تتوافق منشآتها مع كود القواعد البحرية العالمية. وهكذا تنوعت مكونات قاعدة 3 يوليو البحرية لتشمل 74 منشأة، وتضم العديد من الوحدات القتالية ومركزا للعمليات وآخر للتدريبات المشتركة. هذا بالإضافة إلى مهبط للطائرات ملحق به قاعة لاستقبال كبار الزوار و7 ميادين للتدريب، فضلا عن رصيف حربي بطول 1000 متر وعمق 14 مترا، وعدد من الأرصفة التجارية بطول 2200 متر وعمق 17 مترا. كما تضم القاعدة برجا لمراقبة الميناء بارتفاع 29 مترا وحاجزين للأمواج بطول 3650 مترا و3 عمارات سكنية وميس للضباط و5 مباني للإعاشة وفندق بمسطح 6300 متر مربع يحوي 117 غرفة وجناحا. قاعة مؤتمرات تتسع ل700 زائر. منشآت رياضية تضم حمام سباحة أولمبي مدرج لنحو 200 فرد، صالتي سكواش، صالة رياضية مغطاة، وأخرى للجيم، ومسرح مكشوف يسع 600 فرد، ومبنى خدمات وميس مجمع يتسع لأكثر من 1000 فرد. تتنوع منشآت القاعدة لتضم نقطة طبية، كما احتوت القاعدة على أسوار مزودة بكاميرات مراقبة تلفزيونية، بالإضافة إلى بوابات بموانع قوية لحماية القاعدة. نطاق عسكري متكامل يشكل قاعدة انطلاق لحماية مقدرات الأمة المصرية وثرواتها بالبحر الأبيض المتوسط. واليوم يتوج العطاء برفع العلم المصري شامخا على 47 قطعة بحرية، إذانا بدخولها الخدمة في قواتنا البحرية. دفاع هو الأمثل عن أمن مصر برا